What's up, guys? How sex addiction affects your life, how porn addiction affects your life, how addicted to sex, how this affects your life, and the negative side effects to it that we don't quite realize that I struggle with. I went through a big phase of sex addiction, and it was a struggle for me. This is what I experienced with it, and this is how it affected my life, and it still affects my life to this day. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. What's up, guys? If you're new to the channel, my name is Eric. I am diagnosed with ADHD, PTSD, GAD, and MDD. Those are my diagnoses. I have level 1 autism. I'm a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. I lost a wife and a father to suicide. I attempted suicide. And I am not any counselor or any of that. I just like to share from experience, because the thing in life that I have is I don't want anyone to go through life alone. One of the things I struggled with for a while, and this was back in like 2015, 16, and even 17, was sex addiction. I dealt with sex addiction, and looking back at it, I'm not sure quite how much of it was also sex, but also attention addiction. I had noticed that when I got a lack of just even normal attention that I liked, that it went to instant sex addiction, instant dopamine release, instant I need to hook up. I mean, how sex addiction affected my life, and even porn addiction affected my life, was in a lot of different aspects. One, I wasn't faithful. I mean, I cheated on my wife. I cheated on my wife a lot. It's not something I'm proud of. We're divorced now at this time. That wasn't necessarily what led to our divorce. I was an active user at that time, not an excuse, but I was addicted to it. I thrived on sex. I thrived on multiple partners. And what that ended up doing is, one, it really crumbled my relationship with my partner. Shouldn't have been married. I should have gotten a divorce, shouldn't have cheated. And it literally was this obsession where even when I was with my partner, just at home, I'm thinking about other partners. I'm texting other partners. It's like a full-blown addiction when it comes to alcohol, when it comes to any other drug out there. I mean, I'm recovering from cocaine and alcohol. Just like those, I mean, it's an addiction where you're constantly talking to the other people. You're constantly getting fed that attention. You're constantly sexting. Everything in your life starts revolving around sex conversations. That it's literally taking and stealing time away from your partner. They know something's wrong. They know that something's off, because you're so obsessed with just finding that new high, finding that new person, finding that new experience, and you're seeking that out. Also, I mean, during my sex addiction time, if I wasn't having sex with other people, it would flip to porn. Watched a ton of porn, getting off 3-4 times a day easily. And when you do that, you really become numb to, sex with your partner. You become numb to that bedroom life with your partner, because you have so much built up in your head. You have so much that it's constantly in your face. So when you're actually partaking in it, it's not as exciting. It's not as fulfilling, almost, it feels like. When you're done, you have this empty feeling. And that's the thing I learned with like sex addiction and stuff, of even meeting up and getting with multiple women and multiple partners, was, one, you're exposing yourself to disease. You're exposing yourself to different things out there, STDs. You're also, you're numbing it, and you get done and you have just an empty feeling in your stomach, where it's like you almost go back after it or try to get that good feeling back. So now all of a sudden you had sex with somebody. Now you're watching porn. Now that night you're having sex with your partner. You're really exposing a lot of people to a lot of different things. That's, one, very dangerous. But when you are an addict, you don't care. Your addiction is what fuels it and does it all for you. And you're very selfish. You're very manipulative. I was always very, very manipulative when it came to my addiction, to make sure that I protected it. You're getting to the point that, I mean, I hate to say it, even for guys, I mean, you're getting to the point that you're almost the only one that can get yourself to climax at a certain point, because the stimulation is so much that it's now taking so much to even get you to that point. It just becomes almost like a process, and you're almost chasing that dragon, like, oh, this time will be really hot and better. And it's not, and you realize that, but you keep seeking that, almost like you're chasing the dragon, that first experience. So you're finding multiple different partners. You're getting, even more risky with where you're doing it at. If it's cars and parking lots, if it's hotel rooms, whatever it might be, at the person's house, with people home. I mean, you start pushing the limits of it almost. I mean, it was something that was very, very obsessive for me. And it was something that at the time I felt like I needed. I felt like it completed me. I felt like this is how I get happy. I get happy constantly by watching porn and having sex with other people, or talking to other people about sex, or fantasizing with them about sex. And it starts to really dictate that portion of your life. And it also fuels another portion too, where it's attention. You're getting multiple areas of attention. I mean, my wife was still giving me attention. I'm getting attention from multiple different people, and you're getting this massive amount of stimulation. And it's fun at first. It's exhilarating at first. But after a while, it becomes you need more and more and more to maintain that same feeling, that same high almost that you're getting from it. When you're having sex even with your partner, it's not the same. It's not as enjoyable. You're fantasizing about other people while you're with other people. It's total obsession to it, and it ruins your sex life. I mean, it still has hurt my sex life to the point where, I require sometimes a lot of stimulation. I require, sometimes just being reminded to be in the moment. It was something that truly, it gets you to where you're like numb of sex. You're numb of the act of it. And after I really realized a lot of this and took a couple steps back, I looked and was like, man, this really did a lot of damage to me. I'm with somebody. It's a little bit harder for me to get hard. It's a little bit harder for me to even get into the moment. It started becoming more and more of a challenge. It was no longer like, hey, somebody takes off your clothes and you're all excited. It was like, no, it took a ton of foreplay. It took a ton of energy just to even get to that point. It really, people don't realize how different addictions affect you, and just it gets into your brain and it changes everything for you. And that was something that I wish that nobody like ever had to experience when it came to like sex addiction, because how do you start explaining to like the new people when you start dating again or whatever it might be, and you are actually out trying to find a relationship, explain to people, hey, I've struggled with this, like I require a lot of foreplay, you're like trying to tell them like, hey, it's not you. I mean, I got to the point that I would be having sex with somebody and I couldn't have an orgasm, and I'd literally be like, okay, I'm done. And they're like, well, what's wrong with me? I'm like, it's not you, it's me. And that doesn't sound right. And that hurts other people's feelings. It hurts other individuals because you become so self-absorbed in it. I can tell you this though, once you realize that you are truly a sex addict and you like cut porn out of your life, you start to build a healthy sex life again. It all slowly does come back, thankfully. But it does take time. Like, it really truly takes time. Like, I don't watch much porn at all anymore. I watch it with my girlfriend. But I literally like try to avoid porn because you become with this obsession with it. And even still, I can catch myself becoming obsessed with it all of a sudden. And now it's a genre, and now I'm fantasizing about that genre or that category of, whatever it is that's triggering my fantasies all of a sudden. And I become obsessed with it. Now, that's what I'm watching. I mean, there are signs that if you're with a sex addict, I did a video a couple years ago even of the signs of being with a sex addict, because it's really true. I mean, you're hiding your phone, you're talking to constantly other people. You almost get mundane, like you don't want to change it up at all with your partner because you don't want them to know that you have these different fantasies, and you're like, if it all stays normal here, I can do all this other crazy stuff over here. It's really an obsession, and it's a hard one to also come out to your partner with, especially if you're cheating on your partner. But I can tell you this is like, once you get it all out there and you share with them, hey, this is everything that I've done and I apologize, whether you end your relationship, whether you try to work through your relationship, just getting it off your chest, that's a huge help to it. Stopping not watching the porn is a huge help to it. And realizing like, hey, you know what, I'm an alcoholic and cocaine addict. I can't drink, I can't drink. Same thing kind of goes with porn. Like, I can't sit there and just watch a bunch of porn, because if I do, it starts to become a pattern. And next thing you know, I'm doing it, 1 to 2 times a day, and it becomes to the point where you're watching porn. And I catch myself like literally watching porn for like an hour, 2 hours, trying to get off and being like, oh, and then all of a sudden you're clicking to a new video because this video looks better, and you want to find something even better. That as soon as I realize that obsession's there, I got to take a step back. No. And I'm not saying that, everybody goes through this and everybody struggles with it, but I'm sure somebody out there who right now is listening to this is going, dude, that's true. Been there. If you are struggling with it though, talk to your partner about it. You can talk with a therapist and a counselor even about it, because sometimes it does have to do with underlying trauma. So be vocal though about any of the addictions that you have. There are, even groups out there that, are sex addicts, and you can go to those groups, and it's nice to have other people that understand, because a lot of people don't understand, especially when it comes to this. I mean, talking about drugs and stuff is one thing, but then when you're talking about sex, it's kind of like its own category, it feels like, just because it's like, well, that's supposed to be intimate, and that's different. Well, no, addiction's addiction, and it's a fight. So let people know that you do struggle with an addiction, and that you are in recovery, and that you're working through this, and start taking it, one day at a time. I really had to focus on, like, not watching porn. Like, hey, a day went by, I'm not watching porn. Another day went by, I'm not watching porn. I'm not hooking up with anyone random. I'm really focusing and working on myself. And a lot of times working on yourself is like in the bathroom by yourself at 2 a.m. crying your tears out, because you're trying to work through this and process through this and fight through those moments. But if you are struggling, reach out for help. Let everyone know that you are struggling. I mean, hit the like and subscribe button, comment down below, because the biggest thing is to know that you're not alone, and you're not alone through these struggles. So just remember, you know what? You matter, you got this, and you ain't alone.